Anticipation is mounting ahead of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting on Thursday. Economists predict that the Reserve Bank MPC is likely to keep the repo rate unchanged. The committee has held interest rates steady at 7% since the year ago, in spite of monetary policy tightening resuming in the US in December 2016. Most experts believe the meeting may well be used to signal the end of a hiking cycle and the possibility of a rate cut later this year. With inflation at 6.3% year on year and falling mostly, but the bank have to aggressively cut its inflation forecast for the year remaining, which is currently at 6.4%. Meanwhile, the producers' price inflation to be released by Statistics South Africa on Thursday will also have a bearing on the MPC's decision. Well, these things, we talk about them, we always argue about them, but we want to have the right people to talk to so that they explain the intricacies that are leading up to this bubbling and boiling matter of what's taking place at the market. And right now we're joined proudly by somebody who is at the heartbeat of business, particularly small to medium enterprises. This is NAFCOC's chief economist, Landiwe Mahlangu. Landiwe, thank you very much. You were asking me as I was talking to Petri, what on earth are we talking about? Are you not concerned about how the rand is performing?
No. Well, that is supposed to be off the record. No, certainly. Yeah. I really think what has actually been happening, I think, in the last couple of days and actually weeks was the fact that is actually it was a very good time, for the rand. I mean, it has strengthened far higher than it has actually done in a period for a while. I must say that the fundamentals are such that the question that always comes out whether it will sustain the kind of actually values that it actually has now. Yeah. And I think this is something that would actually weigh very heavily on the MPC as it considers this. My sense is that for totally different reasons and a set of factors, MPC might just maintain the whole rate that it is. Inflation is still really outside the target range, by the way.
That's true.
The growth numbers are not very good.
Yeah.
And not too long ago, we've actually seen that while the business confidence seems to be rebounding, but there's still some kind of if you like, some hesitancy on the type of market in terms as to.
Landiwe, are you saying that there's a possibility that the MPC might just actually see this as an opportunity to hike rates?
No, hiking rates, I think it's something that I wouldn't say, but they would actually. I suspect they'll keep the rates as they are, but for totally different sets of circumstances, than it has, done before. The last thing that the MPC would like to see would be to actually, stifle what is quite, really strictly is a fledgling, economic, economic growth. Yeah. But I think the risk in terms of the inflation are still there, and I'm sure that MPC would like to actually ensure that they keep the rates to actually ensure that inflation still at least comes to the target range that they actually hope for. Yeah.
And Landiwe, my viewers are the type of people that actually rely so much on what happens with the repo rate, what happens with the interest rate, and that affects them directly because of perhaps the business that they're involved in. It might be that small powder shop that is owned by Mama Shangu and Babu Kumete, Pepe there in the township, who want to understand if they leave rates unchanged, what is the significance to their life? Because 1st of April come, then we have what we call a levy that's going to be increased in terms of both the petrol price and not only that, with the RAF as well, that's going up.
Yeah.
So the question is, does it actually matter, the decision on Thursday, which will be starting the proceedings on Wednesday, with regards to where the interest rates go? How does that affect them? How does it impact on their livelihoods? How does it impact on the spaza shops, the tuck shops, and those people that are at the market that rely on sustainable prices for them to actually make money?
Well, it does. In fact, you have mentioned quite a number of factors. A lot of what is actually currently, driving, the kind of inflation that we actually have is really what we call, administrative, prices.
Yeah.
You talk about electricity. You talk about what you actually said in terms of the energy or the petrol price.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that are actually really affect, not even marginally, but in substantive terms, in terms as to the kind of, decisions that Omar Kumalo, as you're referring them, actually, take. I would think that the interest rates, if it has to rise, which is highly unlikely, would just simply stifle the very fledgling, economic growth that is happening. I think in my view, what would happen now is that the MPC would have to look what is happening, around the world. What we know is that at least there seems to be some signs that the economy in some centers of the world seems to be growing. So there's a bit of confidence in terms of some, though marginally, growth in the in other parts of the world. And I think the last thing that obviously they would like to do would be to actually in a way dampen that by actually rising interest rates in view of some of the headwinds that are actually characterized by some of the administrative prices here.
In 10 seconds, tell me, what do you think about the president recalling the finance minister and his deputy back in the country? How will that impact us?
I don't know why has he recalled them for, but look, I'm of the view that I think now people have learned to actually understand that our politics differently. Look, I mean, to be very blunt, I don't think there will be any effect in terms of that. Clearly, I think whatever the effect would have been, I think may have already been discounted, in the markets, But
interesting view. Yeah. I like that view. Thank you very much, Landiwe Mashangu. He's an economist from NAVCOC, and he's helped